Whew. All right, guys, another car video. Got to remember to look in the green light over there if you can even see me. But of course, I'm outside of Barnes & Noble. I had to go purchase this. I did not plan on purchasing this book, Broken Plea. It's by Christopher Whitcomb. I'll show you this man. I've got all these bookmarks already. That's him. He's an ex-FBI agent. There he is. The only reason I just spent like $31, I literally have my receipt somewhere around here. Oh, there it is. I'm using it as a bookmark. The only reason I spent, what, $31.99 and frantically called Barnes & Noble to see if they had it in stock. What is today? Monday? I know it's the 27th, Monday, April 27th. And they already had it in stock. I was going to potentially get it on Kindle, and then I knew it would be available tonight. I gotta look over there. You're over there. I thought, okay, it would be on my Kindle device tonight. Only because I've been reading some excerpts from this book, and the fact that this guy, supposedly, allegedly, you can see that he's gotten, I hope you can hear past my air conditioner, but I don't want to start sweating in this video. Okay, supposedly he's gotten stuff that other people didn't. He got access to not the entire discovery like some people are saying in the Idaho 4 case, but it says Whitcomb has spent months scrutinizing tens of thousands of documents found in the Brady disclosure files, including hundreds of thousands of data points and terabytes worth of photographs, video, lab reports, forensic analysis. Despite a slow drip of FOIA disclosures, much of this information is presented here for the first time. Analysis of autopsy photos, DNA reports, body cam footage to unpublished interviews, and the contents of Bryan Kohberger's phone. Oh my goodness. Let me tell you what sold me on really purchasing this book. Not only supposedly Whitcomb has access to stuff, I don't know why they wouldn't give it to the public as a result of different FOIA requests, like Bryan Kohberger's mother's interview. Normally I cut stuff like that out. I might not. I might just publish this as I drive home. I'm ready. I got my the book. I bought a book light if I'm up late, reading. I got a highlighter and everything. So this is what really got me. Okay, one thing I wanted to see about this book, I was hoping Whitcomb would actually publish, for example, it's just text and there's some tables. I'll show you some tables. I was hoping he would actually publish, of course, not photos, nothing like that. We don't want to see that. I was hoping he would publish photographs of the actual evidence. For example, if he got these terabytes worth of Kohberger's phone data, or, I was hoping it would look like the actual evidence, a photograph of it. But instead, we see, for example, the August effect. I guess that's this chapter. We see he's put data into tables. And the one thing that got me to purchase this, you might have followed me on Facebook to see, I saw this page before in the little promo video on Amazon. And I guess I'll put the link below. I didn't plan on covering this book. I didn't plan on purchasing it. I'm like, is this the first Kohberger book or something? What's going on? But this guy, since he claims to have access to all this evidence we didn't have, I thought, okay, let me see. So it says here in the table, Jack D, that's Jack DeCoeur, calls Kaylee Gonzalez. Her name is always a little difficult for me. Gonzalez. Kaylee. Supposedly Jack D calls Kaylee. They talk for 17 minutes and 4 seconds. That's what, let's see if I can do this. Oh, I don't even know if I'm showing you the right thing here, but you can probably see it there. I think I'm looking in my mirror. But yeah, supposedly Jack D called Kaylee. This is on November 13th, mind you, the day of the murders. This is at 2:26 a.m. So technically fewer than 2 hours prior to the Idaho 4 murders. He's claiming Jack D called Kaylee and they talk. It's very important. You know, the interpretation of words and evidence is very important. He writes, Jack D calls Kaylee, they talk for 17 minutes and 4 seconds. I thought to myself, okay, I know I've been through a lot of this case as evidence. I don't ever remember hearing the fact that Kaylee and Jack spoke. I was like, well, what did they say? You know, what was on her mind? But when you keep turning the pages and he goes into the portion where he's speaking about Jack and everything, what he did that night, Jack is advising police he went to bed at approximately 1:20 a.m. Jack said when he woke up the next day, he noticed he had a number of missed calls from both Kaylee and Maddie, 7 from Kaylee, about 3 from Maddie. Jack said they had no argument with Kaylee. He didn't the night before, no dispute. Now it says, I noted looking at phone records that there had been several text messages the night before between Jack and Kaylee. The last text message from Kaylee to Jack was at 2:15. And then he's quoting from, I guess, Jack's interview, because he says, I advised, obviously it's some detective who's interviewing Jack. I advised Jack that there appeared to be a telephone call at 2:26 a.m. between Jack and Kaylee that lasted approximately 17 minutes the night before. Jack said he did not recall the phone call and cannot explain it. Okay, so I guess we knew that portion before. Jack said maybe in his sleep he thought it was an alarm and he pushed the side button of the phone to turn the ringer off. He'd been missing more classes than normal. He talked about the breakup with Kaylee. Okay, so what my point is, that's a lot different than this table that says Jack and Kaylee talked. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking, is everything going to be slightly different perception of how this guy interprets the evidence? Now, I do like to see the little behind the scenes things that I don't know if we've seen in evidence, but maybe we've seen this portion where Jack wanted to speak with his mother. He didn't want to continue a certain interview without a lawyer being present, which is smart no matter what. It says we stopped the interview and Jack left, and that's when he returned on November 17th, accompanied by his attorney, and talked about the rest of that stuff. And of course, he talks about all the blood found, you know, in Jack's apartment and all that stuff, blood drops. But he does give a caveat, none of this has ever been tied to any of the crimes. But we know the insinuation. I'm trying to find the sunlight here. I wish I had a longer roof. Anyway, thank God for what I have. The insinuation to me seems, okay, Jack spoke with Kaylee, even though I don't think it should be written that way. If we don't know if they actually talked, if there's no evidence of them actually speaking for more than 17 minutes, I don't think it should be written that way. You know, I'll read the whole book, I hope and pray, but it's like, anyway, it has some interesting things. I'll put my link to Facebook below too, because I've already been putting excerpts of what I'm finding now that I have this whole book. And it is, let's say, 400, it's a huge book. And it wasn't displayed. It wasn't displayed in any type of, you know, new coming. I had to call and see if they had it. It's 429 pages. And it does have some stuff I don't think we've seen. For example, this letter from Latah County Jail from Bryan, B.C. Byrne, which is spelled B-E-R-N-N. I saw another excerpt where it was like B-E-R-N-N-Z-Z, so Brian's nickname is like Burns. Anyway, he says, Bryan, B.C. Byrne, buddy, brother, Bryan C. Kohberger, Latah Jail. We might have seen this. It's a weird little letter. It's dated October 6, 2023. Dear family. Did he really write Dear Family? Maybe. Together, hand in hand, and galvanized by the wisdom of the singular heart. That's capitalized, singular and heart. We triumphantly ascend to new peaks. thus apprehending the beautiful pattern / form of the labyrinthine path taken afore. Is this a quote? So it's some kind of, I think of that as like a serpentine, a labyrinthine path taken before, like a twisted path they've all been through. They've triumphantly ascended to new peaks. Singular heart. We have traversed many once novel territories, finding that when all else may seem variable / entropic, oh my goodness, I need my dictionary here. Entropic, it is the one constant from which clarity and serenity are ever accessible. What on earth does that mean? That's in the chapter titled Absolute Devotion. And this is the part I really wanted to read too. So, okay, it's going to go over, I guess, Bryan's phone records somewhere, his history, the stuff we know. He lost a lot of weight as a teenager, you know, all that stuff. We'll get there. This is the part that I wanted to see. I mean, of course, I want to see more, but it talks about, you know, much of what we knew about Kohberger came from hearsay, journalists, blah, blah, blah. But on December 30th, 2022, Bryan's mom, Bryan Kohberger, was interviewed by FBI special agents, at least 3 of them. And they took him back to, this is where it took place, at the Pennsylvania State Police Fern Ridge Barracks in Blakesley, where she and her husband had been taken while their house was being searched. I'm not sure if that's the same place they had taken Kohberger, like in a separate place. I do remember something about the barracks. Whatever. I guess the part that made me angry is, I get it, he's an ex-FBI agent, but why did he get access to these Bryan Kohberger's transcripts of her interviews when they will give us nothing? I mean, you guys, you may have seen, I filled out all kinds of stuff, spent money, UPSing stuff to the Pennsylvania people. You know, what do they call that? The right to know. I've put in all these FOIAs. Everything has been shut down. No, you can't get Kohberger's interview in Pennsylvania after his arrest. You know, we've seen that photo of him after he was arrested. I'm used to something next to me. You know, I like to edit stuff. No, we couldn't get any of that. They wouldn't give us the transcripts. They wouldn't give us anything. All of a sudden, they give it to Whitcomb and he's able to get the transcripts. Well, this is the FBI agents filed 2 FD 302s, their FBI reports documenting their conversations. Okay, the first is labeled, all these numbers, Scranton. It's saying Special Agent Eric Bailey questioned Marianne regarding a conversation which took place prior to Bryan moving to Washington State. Interesting. I'm trying to swallow quietly for people who don't like those noises, because I don't feel like editing. Marianne recalled a conversation in which she suggested Bryan obtain something to defend himself in the event of a bear attack while Bryan hiked in the western U.S. So these are the excerpts I had written about on Facebook. If you follow me over there, of course, as well as here, you know, some I might just publish, some I might make videos about. Oh, it says the first part of this interview wasn't recorded. But Bailey clearly seems interested, of course, in a K-bar knife police say Bryan purchased with an Amazon gift card while he lived in Pennsylvania, approximately 8 months before the crimes. Okay, so he's picking out this part as if to insinuate, well, first of all, he's saying, yeah, police say Bryan, you know, bought the knife with the Amazon gift card, and he's saying, okay, he must have purchased that K-bar. If you guys can prove he did, he's trying to defend himself. And I guess he bought bear spray too, I was remembering. Marianne did not know if Bryan purchased anything for this purpose and was unaware of Bryan specifically purchasing a knife for this purchase. So she didn't know about the knife. Now it says the second part of the FBI document is a transcription of the larger recorded interview with other special agents, Jessica Mahoney and Matthew Phillips. 38 pages. Oh, you got, wait. I just read something that really pissed me off. Okay, wait. At 38 pages, the transcript is too long to reprint here. What the hell? I've been trying so hard to get evidence from this case. They're denying me up the wazoo. Whitcomb has a 38-page transcript of Bryan Kohberger's mother's interview right when, this big raid happens. Her son gets arrested. It's almost New Year's Eve. It's December 30th. He has all 38 pages and he's saying the transcript is too long to reprint here. Oh my goodness, I hope my engine's not too loud here, guys. I'm just like floored. The book is more than 400 pages long. What's another 38 pages? Anyway. I can't. Anyway, he just gives us excerpts. I wish he had literally just given us the entire transcript, all 38 pages printed out here. The thing I do like is when he gets into different interviews, they're no longer redacted. Remember how we got the transcripts from Moscow PD? Of course, they were so redacted with different names. I'm hitting my thing up here. They're so redacted with different names that it's kind of hard to figure out who the heck he's talking about in the MPD transcripts, but this one, or at least we see names. So it just talks about Bryan Kohberger is saying, we supported him. She's talking about Bryan, of course, at the beginning of this interview. Both my daughters are, they're both therapists. So we read a lot of encouragement and we read a lot of encouragement and a lot of support from them, so I don't know if she meant from their writings, are they published or what? Followed by a bunch of small talk, which is called rapport building. So maybe that's why he left it out. Okay, fine. If it's too personal stuff, I get they'll redact it. But if he has the 38 pages, I mean, come on, just publish them. Maybe he'll go on different YouTube video interviews and maybe he'll talk about them. Anyway, Mrs. Kohberger stands at a significant disadvantage because she's isolated and emotionally distraught and has no lawyer. Oh, so it's the inference is, oh, these FBI agents got this poor mom and, they just went through a raid. She's by herself. She has no lawyer. Oh, man. It says, Mrs. Kohberger says, so we've always been there, Mrs. Kohberger states well into the interview, but it was very short-lived. See, this is the problem with author's interpretation, nothing wrong with that, and then excerpts, because it's out of context. And now, if we had the full 38 pages, we could see the flow of what they're talking about. Something was short-lived, but I don't know what she's speaking of. It says, it appears she says this in response to a question about her son's drug use during his late teens, but there is no transcribed reference to that specific topic. Mr. Whitcomb, can you please publish all 38 pages? I purchased your book, even though people were saying it was a money grab. I thought, okay, this guy has actual evidence. I was hoping to see more of the actual evidence in the book. Okay, Marianne also says we were fortunate in that regard because like in our community, a lot of families were not as fortunate. I guess talking about Bryan's drug use. It was very ongoing, and we had a lot of people that we know that lost children to it. So we feel really lucky and very, very fortunate and blessed, because remember, Bryan's friend died of an OD. Okay, well, even with me, Special Agent Phillips is trying to play mother's love for her son, and she's talking. Partner agrees. Okay. I'm trying to figure out who's talking here. It's well after midnight at this point. Police are searching the Kohberger home for evidence of murder. Okay. More often than not, really, that's an FBI agent. When I hear a success story like this, never give up on somebody, Mrs. Kohberger responds, but here we are, so she's saying, I guess, we never gave up on Bryan. We tried and tried and tried, but look at where we are now. Okay, they're back to the matter at hand. one agent says, well, and that's what, again, not to sound like a broken record, that's why we're here. We want to know more about the person, Bryan, okay? And I don't think there's any, he's my angel, the mother tells them. So that's what Marianne said. He's my angel. She repeated it. There's no better person to tell his story, Phillips prods. He's my angel. Now, I'm not saying anything about Marianne, of course. You know, I'm a mother. I understand a mother's deep love for her children. I think it was hard for her to wrap her head around Bryan being involved in this at all. So of course she couldn't turn off her love, or of course she was there for him. Okay, they're asking about Bryan's psychological state when he arrived home in Pennsylvania. You know, they're like, what did he do while he was home? Did he socialize? Okay, Marianne said he doesn't have a big group of friends. No, he touched base with one of his best friends from Arizona, who's still in Arizona. I don't know who that is. Is that whose wedding he went to that time? I don't know. But no, he's been mostly home with the family, just chilling. That's what Marianne said. She called her son Bryan a homebody. He likes to run but does not work out. Says, which police already know from half-naked selfies on his phone. She said her son was happy to see Scout, the family dog. The dog is called Bubba, or Bryan calls him Bleeben. And they're like, okay, you say Bryan's an angel, right? You know, he's kind, he's your baby. Does he have any anger issues ever? Okay, Marianne says her son is not an angry person, never exhibited any confrontational behavior. He doesn't hold grudges. What about girlfriends, boyfriends? Marianne says he doesn't have girlfriends right now. He's had a couple, not a lot in the past. Okay, he was making friends supposedly out in Washington, according to Marianne. She doesn't know the names of a lot of them. She would feel uncomfortable even mentioning them. But oh, here we go. but brought up one international student later identified and interviewed in mainstream media as a WSU colleague. This is not the woman named Haley Wett, who said she went on the Tinder date with Kohberger. Yeah, that was back in Pennsylvania. So they must be talking about, I'm assuming, Na-Young Ko, who wouldn't give anyone an interview. So it's a big change. Special agent is talking about. I just want to get to all of Marianne's quotes. I wish it was all in here. Marianne thought Bryan adapted well. You know, he seemed happy in regular phone conversations. Checked in almost every day, sent pictures of his new apartment in Pullman. I don't see any photos, by the way, in here, which of course I don't expect him to publish. I mean, I'm just fanning through. I don't expect him to publish, of course, crime scene photos, stuff like that, but any of this evidence doesn't seem photographed. When asked about his adaptation, so she thought he adapted well. She mostly spoke with her son. It was mostly mother and son talks. She's like, no, he didn't basically have any concerns. He just finished the semester with a 3.8. Did he really finish the semester that high? And so Marianne's talking about Bryan's organizational habits. He's very organized, so he gets things done. Well, sometimes, mostly he's organized when it comes to his work. Sometimes at home he would get sloppy with clothing and stuff like that. But no, this is just really weird for me. She's saying he has no hobbies other than being outdoors. How about sleep? Does he sleep? She wrote, she said, it depends what's going on. Like if he has things that he has to do during the course of the day, then obviously he's going to do that. But sometimes he's up at night. What else? He's not a party animal. No, not a party animal, not a drinker. What's the story here? So, you know, the flow is broken, and so there's not a lot of continuity. We can't see how one conversation is segueing into another until we get those 38 pages of transcripts, hopefully. So Mrs. Kohberger is just saying, right, at one point, What's the story here? What are we looking at? Maybe she didn't even know why allegedly he was being arrested. They said, so the reason we're at the house today is because of the arrest warrant and for the incidents that occurred in Idaho, okay? And she just says, okay. Oh boy, so they're talking about the 2015, oh boy, the Kohbergers will love this, 2015 white Elantra. She says her son's car looks nothing like the one shown on TV. It has a whole different front. Now I do hear people saying, oh, look at those photos they released and that wasn't Bryan's car and the fog lights. They're going on and on about fog lights, sometimes in the comments. But Marianne says, what's going through my mind right now is that this is a really, really bad mistake. What's going on? Like, what's happening here? So Mahoney is saying, I sympathize with that because as a mom, I would think the same way. Marianne says, to me, I feel like I know it is. We know what our, who our children are, So she's adamant that she knows who Bryan is. And I guess she's inferring he wouldn't do this. And they're telling her, look, there's a lot of evidence. An arrest warrant was issued. There's a search warrant that was issued. In order for that to happen, there needs to be probable cause. There needs to be a considerable amount of evidence. They're trying to tell her. Oh, so then, yeah, this is the line we saw before. Marianne was like, so now my son's face is going to be plastered all across the country? Okay. That sounds cold-hearted because you think, why aren't you concerned about the victims? What happened to Kaylee's face? Done at the hands of your son. He's been convicted. I don't have to say allegedly. He admitted to it, despite what people think. The interview agents skip over the question. They don't know how the press release is going to go. But Marianne's concerned about, of course, her son's face plastered all across the country. She's concerned about poor Bryan, but ever in her heart did she take it in that this could be really true? Never, ever, ever, she says, when told that the purpose of this interview is to find out whether she's had any concerning behaviors that might indicate his involvement in the crime. My son would not do this, she said. I will stake my life on that. Wow, that's a lot of deep belief in your son. There's a mistake, something is wrong somewhere, and that's what I believe. And that's what I know in my heart. She says this is a nightmare midway through the conversation. A mother's emotional reaction to what must seem like a surreal night where, we're getting Whitcomb's words in between. This is an absolute nightmare. Oh, so Bubba, the dog, must be there, because she turns to the dog. He's been in the room, and she says, no, Bubba, come here. So that makes sense. They would have to take the dog out of the home, of course, while they're searching. Okay, so then they go over Brett Payne's probable cause affidavit. I don't know if that's the only transcript we will have in here. I don't know what stuff he pulled. I do want to get to Bryan's phone conversations. So tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to get my butt home since it's almost been like half an hour here of reading through these excerpts. Of course, I'm not going to read the whole book. If you want the book, I'll put a link to it below. I don't know, and it's a Harper Select, and I did see it was Thomas Nelson. Yeah, that publisher, it's not usually a Christian publisher, had created that promo video. I saw it's on the Amazon book page if you want to watch it. It says the imagery is by Getty Images, cover design, author photo of Krister Whitcomb. Is he going to write a follow-up? Anyway, I mean, it is what it is, but check my link below. Again, follow me on Facebook because I want to dig through this with a fine-tooth comb, and I want to see what evidence he includes in here that's different at all from what we know. Compare it to the evidence. Is he contradicting himself, like in the book when he says Jack D called Kaylee, they spoke for 17 minutes and 4 seconds? Is he contradicting himself because a few pages later he goes to Jack's interview and he mentions Jack saying, oh, maybe I don't know, I was asleep, I might have hit the wrong button, I don't remember speaking with Kaylee. I'm just gonna try and hide that, guys, because I don't want to edit at all. Okay, there we go. So in my opinion, that's a contradiction. If you have valid evidence that Jack D and Kaylee literally spoke, you know, confirming that by Jack D admitting to it, or if Kaylee had the time to tell someone who survived, you know, say this didn't happen, but let's say, for example, show you what I mean. If Kaylee had spoken with her sister or someone after allegedly speaking with Jack D, and then I would believe her sister if she had told her sister, oh yeah, Jack and I talked for, you know, a little while, a few minutes ago, then I would say, okay, that's evidence that they spoke. But for him to put things like this on a table saying, Jack D called Kaylee, they spoke for 17 minutes. Obviously, that would be a critical conversation if they spoke for 17 minutes, less than 2 hours before she was brutally slaughtered by this guy who admitted it. So stuff like that is disappointing because you guys know me, I'm totally about the evidence. I'm all about as much hard evidence as we can get. So I want to go through this whole book and see what else we have in here. Like, I'm glad he put at least excerpts of Marianne's transcript in here. Why they won't release it as public records, I can try again. I don't know. I was willing to drive to Pennsylvania. You know, I was sending all these paperwork and it's just like, no, 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 no. Maybe, you know, even Bryan's interview or anything that was, you know, videotaped with Marianne and Michael Kohberger and the sisters. Well, only one sister was home reportedly. The other sister was out of town. Where are those interviews? Are those transcripts in here? I don't know. Maybe I'll find them. But the videos, all of that, why is it so hush hush? To me, that helps conspiracy theories thrive when they're not willing to release actual evidence. I mean, I believe Bryan Kohberger did this. He's going to argue for multiple suspects and, oh boy, we'll just see. But anyway, I will keep you guys posted. Again, go to Facebook and see. I'll put actual, you know, excerpts and compare it to the evidence we have and try and suss out what is really true and what is just kind of like an author's interpretation or just way out of left field or what is not truth, whatever. The truth will set you free. Then you will know the truth and the truth will set you free. And I wanted to say, is it Philippians 4:16? I'm trying to do this by heart. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Thanks for watching all this and stay tuned. I'm just angry that we can't get the evidence he got. I'm just angry that he has 38 pages, and Lord knows how much more. Like, I understand not releasing the crime photos, of course, but 38 pages of transcript and he just includes little snippets. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching this. Take care.